Hello guys, welcome back to the Beastie Room. We're going to have a rehousing today, well two rehousings today of the Idiothele mira or the Blue Foot Baboon. Now these are a really cool spider, and we got these came in a little while back. They came in as part of a collection that we bought up, and what we want to do, they're in here. Now they're only youngsters at the moment as far as I'm aware. I still haven't seen them, so this is going to be a prime time to actually see whether these guys, what sort of size they are. Now I'm pretty sure they're both alive because we did feed them yesterday, and the cricket that we put in there has vanished. It's no longer there, so we can assume our spider is alive. Now with these guys, they do tend to stay hidden away. They are in fact a trapdoor spider, and they're one of only two trapdoor tarantulas, the other one being the T.seladonia, the T.seladonia, which you've often seen, the really colourful little tiny trapdoor spider. So these two are the only true trapdoor tarantulas in the hobby. The other trapdoor spiders we have are what we class as true spiders, so they come in a different category. So what we're going to do, we're going to take them out of these pots here. Now these are perfectly adequate, they're fine as they are, but they just don't fit in with my shelving system. I do like my nice glass enclosures. So what we got here is our Komodo 20 by 20 by 20s, and we're going to set up two of them. So, and hopefully what's going to happen in the future, these will be a really cool little breeding project. That's the plan. As you guys know, we like to breed everything that we get our hands on, so these are going to be no exception. Now we're going to just, as a trapdoor spider, these do like a little bit of soil. I don't need a huge amount, but what we're going to do is we're going to fill this up halfway. Now the reason we're going for this is because these guys do like a relatively high humidity. Now they come from South Africa, and in the summertime it's actually really quite wet. They have an awful lot of rainfall in the summertime, and in the winter it's really dry. So generally speaking, these guys are going to like a humidity around about anywhere from 65 to 85%. Now you might sort of like, I don't want you to get too hung up on the humidity requirements. So what we're going to say is, like with many of our spiders, when you see the care sheets and when we do our rehousings, I will always give you an idea of what kind of humidity levels you're looking for. Now I'll let you into a little secret. We don't actually physically measure the humidity. So once we've got an idea of where things are and what our particular room gives and how much, when we add water to it, how much it will give to our enclosures, this is how we work it out. Now it's very easy if you put a hydrometer into your enclosure to get really hung up on them numbers. So what we try and do here is, when we have semi-fossorial spiders or bang on fossorial spiders, we look at the colour of our soil, and this is what gives us an idea, because with them particular spiders, they are living down inside the substrate. Now your humidity gauge will be outside here somewhere, and it's measuring the air humidity within that enclosure. The humidity down in that burrow will be entirely different. So you've got two things there. So the care sheets and what have you are telling you that it needs it, like I have just said, between 65 to 85% humidity. This is air humidity. Down in the enclosure, it's likely to be a little bit higher. So how we manage that is we manage the dampness within the soil, and this is what gives us the requirements that we need. So when we look at it, you can see in here it's nice and dark. When this dries out, as it has happened here, you can see the difference in the colour. Yeah, so this is quite light, this is quite dark. So how we go about it is we're looking at that colour. If you get hold of your stuff, your substrate, and as like this, you can see this is dry. It's not sticking to my hand, but there is moisture in it. So we squeeze it like that, and you can see there it's just sticking to my hand. This isn't going to be far wrong for what you require in a spider that needs somewhere between 65 and 80% humidity. So it's still dry, but it is damp. It's very, very important that we get this thing. We squeeze it, it holds itself together, but it crumbles away straight away. So we're not squeezing. You can't squeeze water out of this. And this is where we need to be. And we can do the same thing for our arboreal spiders as well. The only thing with our arboreal spiders is it's more important that we get that air humidity, because that is what they're living in. They're in the open air, and that's the humidity that they require. So it's a little bit more tricky for maybe our arboreals, but it's the same basic understanding. Don't get massively hung up on it. That's the key. Don't get hung up on it. Right, these being a trapdoor spider, what we're going to do is we're going to offer a little piece of wood in here, a little bit of bark, and we're just going to make a little indentation there for our spider. We're going to do the same with this one here. See, we're multitasking now. And we're going to put a little tiny hole in there as well. And we're going to use some moss, because what we want to do is we want to encourage our spider to go in a certain area. That's the plan. That's what we're trying to do. So we've got our moss here. Now, pretty much everything that we're using here is pulled in from the wild. And as you can see, we don't do anything with it. This hasn't been sterilised in any way. So we literally use it straight out of the wild, and it's not going to be any problem at all. So we're going to add that in there like that. And like I say, what we're trying to achieve here is we're trying to point our spider in the direction that we would like him to set up home. Doesn't always work. They have got a mind of their own, and they're quite capable of using it. So what we're going to do, we're just going to stick a little bit in there like so. We want our spider to come in there, and we want the same on this one here. So we're going to plonk this one in like that. Very, very simple enclosure. Doesn't have to be too complicated. We're going to use this little bit here. Now with the moss here as well, this will also help to lock in the humidity within the soil. It will maintain that moisture. Now that as itself looks a little bit bare, doesn't it? So what we're going to do is we are going to add, we've got some lovely branches here. You see these branches? Now look at this. This is what we're saying. We don't actually sterilise any of this. So as you can see, this has still got all the rubbish that we pulled up out of the forest, all the bits and pieces. This here, this is actually a mould which is on the branch itself, because this wood, if you can see that, how soft that is, this is what we call white wood. And if you've got any beetles, like your marginatas and things like that, they will eat this. This is what they love. White wood is absolutely rotten, you see. Now within this, there will be isopods, and look, there's isopods in here as well. These are all wild native British isopods. Now one thing to bear in mind, if you're going to use natural woods like this, don't introduce your expensive isopods that you've bought online, because in time our native ones will dominate them and they will eventually wipe them out, and all you'll be left with is the native ones. So bear in mind, if you want to go for the things like that, then probably best not to have them. So what we're going to do, we're going to add this. So what we're going to do is literally going to snap off the bit that we don't want. And the only reason we're putting this in here now is to literally just give an extra dimension to our enclosure, just to make it look a little bit different. That's all it's doing. So this is purely for aesthetics. We can do the same with this one. We've got another piece here. It's exactly the same, rotten wood. You can see there it's just all rotten. What we do, we're looking at the best end, so I'm going to take that bit off of there. This is the beauty with this stuff, it literally just breaks up. Snap that off. And it just makes it look that little bit more natural. Our spider's not going to particularly want to climb up this, he's not going to use it because he's going to be living in a hole down here. But it just gives it that little bit of a backdrop, makes it look nice. So that's all we're trying to achieve there, making it look nice. Now then, we are going to add a water bowl, and we're going to put one in each side. But these guys, I've never heard of anyone who's actually said that these guys will drink from a water bowl. Now, being a trapdoor spider, they don't generally tend to leave their home. When they're males and they mature, they will leave their home in search of females. But the females themselves, they don't generally leave. So once they set up home, if they're undisturbed, that's pretty much where they're going to spend the rest of their days. Right, so there we have it. Nice, easy enclosures. So what we're going to do now, we don't know how big these are. So we're going to get a small catch cup. And okay, oh, what's going on there? Might have to invest in a new sprayer, guys. This one's like it's got a mind of its own. Right, watch your ears. I'm going to take the pressure out of that, stop the water from dripping. Right then, so what we're going to do now is we're going to see if we can't find these little guys. Now these are an old world spider, and as we've said, they're known as the Blue Foot Baboon, so we have to be a little bit careful. Now we know that it's hidden under here, so we take that little bit of bark out, and our spider is in here. So as we can see, our spider is in this tube here somewhere. So we're going to take these few bits out.
It's a trapdoor, we don't have a trap as such.
They can create a trapdoor, but when they're young like this, they tend to create these tubes. And then they will literally just hang in the mouth here, and they'll wait for them to come through. But yes, they can actually do a proper trapdoor. But I think that's more when they get older. Now, as you can see, look now, we're opening this up, and you can see, oh, there he is, how it's gone in there. It's gone from that tube down to a tunnel, and that is where it's sitting, right at the bottom of the tunnel. Now, it may well have been sitting right up here before we disturbed it, but it's gone back down to the retreat of the tunnel. So what we're going to do, we are going to try and get our friend here to come up and out. Here we go, because we need to get an idea of its size. Now these guys don't get massively big, so you can see that lovely blue now, so they get their name, the Blue Foot Baboon. Now they don't get massively big. As an adult female, we're looking at around about 4 inches. There we go, we just tease her out a little bit. You notice we're not getting any aggression. This is always good. Now she will disappear straight up there, so what we're going to do, we're going to catch her in our cup. This is a good little tip for you. When we're looking at catching a spider like this inside, we're going to use this pot, and as you can see, this pot fits into here quite snugly. Don't go straight in and go level, because the chances are this spider will run straight up the side, out and away. Be running across your living room before you know it. So what we do is we tilt it like that. So if you imagine that's the size of the enclosure and our spider is in the bottom here, rather than coming in like this, we come in like this. So we cut the access off from the top and then we go down like that. And then that way she can't run straight up the side and disappear. Hopefully, that's the plan. So we try and cover all eventualities. So what we're going to do, we're going to come in on the top, like so. Slowly but surely. There we go. You see? And we've saved that chance of her disappearing. Now we've got two options here. We can open the top up and we can tickle her with a paintbrush and see if she'll go back down into our tub, which she has. Very willing. Look at that. We're now going to move her over and put her in a nice new home. Being very well behaved. Now remember, they're quite often a little bit cautious about setting foot on something they don't know. There we go. Nice and gentle. And she's in. As you can see, this is quite a small spider for a relatively large enclosure, but this enclosure will do her for life now. She won't need anything else. She won't need anything any bigger. Is that glass clean? It's not, is it? We can clean the fronts of these glasses up. Terrible, terrible. You get a nice shot of her there. Shall I turn that around a little bit, make it a bit easier? There we go. Now, I don't know if we can get a little bit of light maybe on her. You might just see them legs a bit more. Are they shining up any better?
A little bit.
But you can see there, that's where they get that, the name of the Blue Foot Baboon. Very, very pretty spider. Very nice. Right, so that's one in. And that managed to behave itself quite well. So we're literally going to clear that off. I do hate dirty glass. So we'll put our lid on. Now, as you guys would be aware, many of the baboon spiders are given to have really, really bad temperaments. And as we saw there, she was actually a real sweetheart. She was very, very calm. Nice and gentle. So what we could do, we're going to try the next one. That all went rather well. So we're going to get rid of this. Let's see number two. Let's see how this one is for size. Now I'm expecting this one to be pretty much the same sort of size. And we'll see whether it's done the same kind of living accommodation as the other one. We'll take the water bowl out, get rid of that. And we'll take our bit of bulk. You notice also as well that we've got some sloughs here. So that's good. We'll hang on to that. And we'll perhaps be able to sex that later on. And we might just have an idea of what we've got. There we go. Ah, right. You can see all the little springtails in there. And you can also see here, this one has actually covered it up more. So this whole thing here is actually part of the tunnel, I think. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take that. There we go. Goes down in that direction. Yeah, similar size. So you can see when they're young, they build this tunnel and it comes all the way up to an entrance here. And as they get older, they will build more of what we consider as a trapdoor. Now this one, you see, this one's trying to protect its burrow a little bit. So what we're going to do, we're going to move that around so you guys can see. Is that good?
Yep.
Right. Where is she? I'll take these out. There she is. And this one's A little bit livelier than the other. Look at that golden colour. Absolutely beautiful. Look at that.
Do you think that's a fresh slough?
That actually looks like a mature male. That, I believe, is Emboli. There. I think that is Emboli there. Yes. So we have a mature male and a young female. Very interesting. See how he's waving here now? He's ready for action. This will explain a little bit of why we've seen the difference in the behaviour, and we've seen that this one is a little bit more full on. Let's move that leaf out of the way. This one is a little bit more full on compared to the other one, and that is because it's mature. Now, unfortunately, I don't think the other one, the first one that we moved, is going to be old enough to breed. So we're going to just get this one hooked up. We're going to go a different way now. We're going to use the lid, and we're going to walk it up the side, up onto the lid, and then we're in. There you go. So there we have it. We've done two different methods of actually taking them out of the box. So that's nice and easy. Now the reason we're going to hold this one in here is so we can have a little look at it. And that is, in fact, yes, that is a male, a mature male. So you can see now the size differences with them. This one in here is definitely, oh, there she is. I would say she is still a bit too young. I'll open that. Yeah, I would say she is probably just a little bit too young. You can see he's almost the same size as her. Possibly another molt from her and she would have been okay. But we'll see. We'll see. Right. So what we're going to do, we will pop him in here. There we go. You see how they have been really quite well behaved. We're going to walk him back out. There we go. Very, very pretty spider. Yeah, look at that. That is such a handsome spider. And you can see there the clearly on the blue on the ends of the feet. Really, really nice. And that gold carapace really stands out. The markings on that are incredible. So as we were saying earlier on, these guys are from South Africa. And because they're basically classed in the subtropical part of South Africa, so they end up with good rainfall and they end up with a very high humidity. In the winter time it's very, very dry, but the humidity still sits around about 65–70%. So these do like a little bit of humidity. We often see these being kept in relatively dry enclosures, and they seem to do reasonably well, but it would be interesting to see how the difference is from a nice humid enclosure to something that's very, very dry, and see if we get any major differences. One of the problems that we see in the hobby is spiders, same with reptiles as well, is they are great at surviving. And sometimes we think we've got our husbandry down to, you know, being perfect, and all our animals are doing is purely surviving. And it's not until we change things up or we move things around and then we see a change in temperament or behaviour, and we realise that actually now our animal is living. It's truly living and not just surviving. You know, there has been, over the years, I can remember as a child, people keeping tortoises, and they literally are just masters at survival, but they were never very happy, you know. So, you know, this is where we need to learn. We need to learn what is the very optimum way to keep our animals, and to the best, you know, to see the very best from them. So we're going to keep these like this. We're going to run them through and we're going to see what happens. Maybe we can get a molt out of this girl before this fella is too far gone. maybe. We're fingers crossed. They do grow relatively quick if given a reasonable amount of food. So I think we will let them settle in, and we'll try and feed them up a little bit. As you can see from their abdomens, they're both in really, really good condition. They did feed yesterday. We fed them yesterday. So they've done really, really well. I'm very pleased with them. Right. Well, I think that just about covers these guys. I hope you enjoyed seeing them, and maybe in the future we can get to see a little bit more action if they can start building them proper trapdoors, and we'll see what happens. We might end up having to rehouse them again if this sort of system doesn't work. So this is where we can move forward and we can try and experiment and do things. These are a very cool spider. Right then. Well, I hope you enjoyed that, and don't forget, be calm, be gentle, and love your spider. And I will see you soon, guys.